AJ Hazzi bought his first property when he was 19 and he hasn't looked back since. He opened his own brokerage firm called Vantage West Realty, and he's going to share with us the top 3 ways to net more out of selling your house. AJ, welcome. It's great to have you here. You are a former hockey player, and then you went straight into essentially being in business for yourself.
Yeah, you bet. Real estate's pretty much all I've ever done.
And when you say you bought your first property, how does someone buy their first property at age 19? Like, tell me that story.
You know, it was kind of a random thing, but I was living in Australia and just working as a DJ and being a surf bum, and just the circumstance
as a DJ being a surf bum.
The circumstance that I had was that I wasn't spending any money, so all of the money that I was making I was banking, and it wasn't a lot of money, but it was enough for a 5% down on a house when I came back to Canada. So most people came back to Canada with a bunch of credit card debt, but because of my circumstance, I came back with 12 grand to put down on my first house. So I was thankful.
But the key thing there is what made you think of buying a property at age 19?
We were paying $20 a night each to live in a hostel, and there was 4 or 5 of us that were traveling together. So what we figured out was that if we pooled our money, that actually added up. What we were paying to hostels was a couple grand a month. So we were actually able to rent a pretty nice house there, and then those guys went home, and I ended up having this house, and I just upped the rent on all the other rooms so that I was living for free.
So let's fast forward to today. You're still passionate about real estate and passionate about helping people to, become financially secure through real estate. Mm-hmm. In your case, you decided to become a real estate agent.
Yep.
So tell me about that process.
I was introduced to a realtor. At the time, he was a young guy, nice pea coat, driving a BMW. I was very impressed by the whole thing. And anyways, I took him out for lunch to ask him about the business, and he told me it was just a series of glamorous coffee meetings and lunches, and completely lied to me about the business. But I did decide to get licensed at that time, and got in the business, and was the only 20-year-old real estate agent out there.
So you get licensed, and Vantage West is basically the leading firm in your city. So so you've had great success with it.
For sure.
What are you doing differently than all the other real estate firms out there?
Yeah, well, our model is completely different than how real estate has operated for the last 80 years or so. Essentially, it's the complete opposite of how everything else works. For example, the industry, one of the major faults of the industry is that it creates this scarcity mentality. There's not enough desks for all the agents, there's not enough management, there's not enough leads, there's not enough parking, there's not enough anything for the amount of people that they have to have at these brokerages in order for the brokerage to exist. Right?
So you're saying, how many agents do you have in your brokerage right now?
We're 15.
So you have 15. In a normal brokerage, those 15 agents are all really competing with each other.
Yep.
And that's where the scarcity mentality comes in.
Absolutely.
So is it how you've structured the sharing of commissions, or
yep, there's a pool for sure. There's also, we've got a unique thing called an inside sales department. So the collective marketing that we all spend together will generate anywhere from 400 to 600 leads every month. Then the inside sales agents, they call these leads and book appointments in a rotation for our guys. So what's neat for our agents is that they operate from this place where, one, they have no expenses. So they have none of that looming overhead that might cause you to give unbiased advice to somebody. And in addition, they have no concern of where their next client might come from. So they come from a very strong place when they're giving that consultative service to a client.
So this is almost getting me interested in becoming a realtor, thinking that, because when realtors that I've known, their issue is they're always hunting around they're always looking for someone who's buying or selling.
Sure.
So they're always on the hunt. And then when they do get a property to sell, of course, there's this tendency they want to jam a deal home,
Sure.
which may not be in the best interests of their client, the seller or the buyer.
You're right. And I think that's why I think as an industry, real estate agents have kind of been plotted somewhere between a used car salesman and maybe an insurance salesman somewhere. And the reason for that is people think that the agent's looking out for their own best interest and not their own. And think about it logically. Let's say you're an agent at one of the big offices and you've got a $5,000 a month office bill or a overhead, and you don't know
Because
where
you're doing your own
you're doing your own
marketing
thing, and you've got an assistant that you're paying her $3,000 a month, and you've got all these marketing expenses that are kind of adding up, and you haven't done a deal in a month or so, and you've got this one client, and they cross the threshold of a home that they like, and they look to you and they say, "What do you think? Should I buy this house?"
Absolutely.
Are you in a position to say anything other than that, right?
Right.
So we take a consultative approach versus the salesperson's approach. So we don't sell homes. We offer a consultation service to help people buy or sell homes.
So we're going to wrap up. AJ Hazzi of Vantage West. We promised to give 3 tips on how to get more value in selling your home. So what are they?
Sure. Well, what you want to do is get way ahead of it. About 5 to 6 weeks before you're going to sell your home, have somebody come over, an agent that specializes in maybe flipping homes or something like that, to give you some consultation on what you can do before you list the property to get it in tip-top shape.
So almost every home could use a little spruce up or from an outsider to decide how to increase the value.
We send a stager and one of our consultants through every listing beforehand and make recommendations on what they can do to tweak it. So the next piece is you want to put a coming soon sign on the real estate sign, and about a week before you go live. And you start to market the home a little bit behind the scenes so you can create some pent-up demand for the home.
Really?
Yeah.
So before you list it, you start putting the word out.
Yep.
It's almost like a pre-launch.
Yeah, it's a pre-launch. We have a whole 7-day sequence that we use, and there's about a dozen things that happen in that 7 days to get sort of the sizzle happening for the home. And then you list it on a Thursday.
Really?
Yeah, you list it on a Thursday.
You sure you want to share this secret with the whole world here?
I'm happy. I'm an open book. You list the home on a Thursday, and you let traffic go through. There'll be all this pent-up demand. You'll have all this traffic, and then you say no offers until Sunday. Okay?
Wow.
What this does is you're predetermining that this house is going to go into multiple offers. You've got it in tip-top shape. You've priced it properly. You've done a 7-day launch, and now you're telling the market that, hey, this is a hot commodity, and we'll be taking offers on Sunday.
So someone comes with an offer on Friday, you say, sorry, we'll talk to you Sunday.
Occasionally someone will come with an offer ahead of time.
Yeah.
Occasionally someone will come with an offer and we'll say, listen, if you want to circumvent this whole system, the offer's got to be very good. It's got to be over list price. And we do. We sell homes all the time for 10 or 20,000 over list because somebody wants to jump the queue.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
AJ Hazzi, I learned a lot.
Right on.
Thanks for coming on Biz One-on-One.
My pleasure.
Gene Bernier has transitioned from programming computers back in the 80s to building world-class websites for nonprofits and other businesses. He's going to share with us the top 3 things that businesses do wrong when they build a website. Welcome to the show, Gene.
Thanks, Randy.
And you are the co-founder
Yeah.
of Cheeky Monkey Media.
That's
so
correct.
we have to find out where that name of the company came from.
Sure, actually, that's one of the questions we get asked a lot. We've only actually had one person ever guess it right. So back in the day, Mike Myers used to do this skit on SNL, which he was this little English guy who would sit in the tub and always say, "Are you looking at my bum, you cheeky monkey?" And so when my co-founder was trying to come up with a name, he always loved that skit, and his mom used to call him a cheeky monkey because she was an English lady as well. And he's just like, oh, it's got to be something catchy, something like, like Cheeky Monkey Media, but something like professional. And everyone went, no, that's good. And he blew it off for about a month until everyone kept going, that's the one that sticks. And so that's how we became Cheeky Monkey Media.
So your company today is really a world-class media company that is working primarily with some pretty big nonprofits. How did you get into the area of nonprofits, like building websites for nonprofits?
Yeah, I wish we had like a cool, sexy story about that, but it literally fell into our lap. And we used to do a lot of work for other bigger agencies. We were muscle for hire. And we started kind of taking some of their projects that they didn't have, were under their budget load. And those were a lot, at the time, a lot of nonprofits.
Right, maybe can't afford the big agency.
And so we that was one of our first pivots where we kind of realized, hey, maybe we could do this as well. So we started collecting a few of these, and as we collected more of them, we just kept getting more of them because we were able to have the proper, we learned how to have the proper conversations with these guys, figuring out what was important to them. And we've just kind of really gotten behind that bandwagon where we have a lot of fun with them. And they're, you know, it's like I say, they've got a lot of interesting challenges they try to overcome, and it's fun to help them go through that journey.
And you feel like you're doing something good and not just building a business, you're helping, helping a helping agency?
Yeah, and you know, kind of helping build that business. We're also helping them build their business as well, because a lot of them, you know, we talk to many of them and talk about something we call donor fatigue, where they come to us, they're like, hey, how do you raise money, or how do you get money? Well, we ask donors for it. Be like, well, there's so many other awesome ways that you can do it. Just because you're a nonprofit doesn't mean raising money is a dirty thing. So let's see what other kind of tools you've got. You know, could it be how maybe you can start doing events. Maybe you've got services that you can sell to other nonprofits or within your community itself. You don't always have to be kind of sitting out there going, hey, it's that time of the month again.
It's interesting because you're in the business of building websites, essentially. But in order to build a website, you have to find out all about the person's business and what their challenge is and what they're trying to accomplish with the website. So it sounds like you end up becoming a business advisor.
Kind of, you know, a lot of us kind of feel like we're business analysts at the end of the day, where, you know, it really is. Like we say a lot of times, you know, launching that website, that's just a very small part of your journey. You know, so much more has to happen after that site's launched, maintaining it, building communities around it, actually finding and toning your message to the right people. So it's a lot more actual work to maintain that and get the message going than actually building it.
So the technology curve is going like this and like this and like this.
Yeah.
And I imagine it's the same in the whole world of websites. I mean, it's not even about a website anymore. It's about your mobile app, et cetera, et cetera. So what's happening in the world? Like, how has your business changed in the last little while?
Great question. I would say it's changed actually quite a lot from what we were doing when we first started out as two guys in our basements.
Which was how long ago?
I've been at this for over 6 years now, so I guess 2010 is kind of when Rick and I teamed up and started doing
6 years
this.
doesn't sound like a long time to me, but in the world of the internet, it's actually it's the olden days.
It really is, and like this industry is still so very much in its infancy from comparing it to other industries out there. So when we say 6 years, yeah, we take that for granted. That's actually a really short period of time from going from 2 guys to over 20 with a handful of contractors and things along those lines.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what types, so it's nonprofits, but you also deal with other companies. What's the sort of price range of a website that you guys like to build, or is that a fair question?
It's always a difficult question, honestly, to answer because everyone is a little bit different. So when people are coming to us, we want to actually kind of understand what their problems are before we just start throwing pricing out the door.
Jean Bernier, we promised to share the 3 biggest mistakes that companies make, or nonprofits, in building their website.
Sure. Well, I've kind of alluded to them already through this. Number 1 is just because you build it doesn't mean it's going to come. And like I think I already mentioned, a lot of times people miss that step or just think that putting it out there is good enough and posting on Facebook once. No, it takes a lot of work. It's a big investment to actually build that message, especially if you're starting from zero or starting from a position that you've lost a lot of power in your market. The second one is pretty doesn't matter. We're big proponents of just because it's pretty doesn't mean you're going to have success or that people are going to like it. We don't want everybody to focus on pretty. We actually, one of our kind of inside mantras is we want people to stop saying, I want a pretty website. You don't want a pretty website. You want something that's going to get you a return on your investment. You want something that's going to move your market. You want something that's going to actually get you your message out there. You want to find ways to measure that. So pretty is kind of this subjective measurement where we want people come in who are spending a lot of money to get this out there, say, hey, how are we tracking success?
So they're not necessarily going to come just because you build it. Doesn't need to be pretty.
Yeah.
What's the third one?
The third one is just because there's a brand new shiny tool or app out there doesn't mean it's right for you. We really kind of push back a lot of times for people to go, yeah, that's cool, but let's see is this the right fit? Does it do what you're needing to do? Does it fit within kind of your marketplace and your business values? Sometimes it doesn't, and that's all right. there are some really cool tools and some new apps coming out every day. Some of them are going to be right, some of them aren't. Just we really hesitate on just jumping at the latest and greatest.
Gene Bernier from Cheeky Monkey Media.
Yeah.
So great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Randy.
you so much.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
And now we're Our next guest has a wide breadth of experience. Craig Sherburne is a doctor of philosophy, has a doctorate in law, and a PhD in microbiology. And of course, he's a stand-up comedian as well. He's here today to talk about his new business venture, Movalume, a revolutionary LED lighting product for homes and businesses. But most importantly, Craig's going to talk about how Movalume can foster entrepreneurship across North America and around the world. He's going to share with us his 4 keys to successful business that he's learned as an academic and an entrepreneur. Welcome to the show, Craig.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So Movalume, let's just get this right out of the way. You're a stand-up comic and a doctor of philosophy. I get that part, but the microbiology part I don't get.
So my father had 3 jobs when I was growing up. He was a general contractor during the evening, and during the day he was an electron microscopist, one of the top biologists across Canada and the world. I just grew up doing many things. You can't just do one job, you need to do 3, and that's the way I did it.
So this was before they started medicating people with ADHD, right?
It's called self-medication. Keep very busy, Randy. That's what you do.
Because I've also done a lot of different things, and I often wonder, if I would have, if I'd have been born earlier, whether I might have been medicated.
I often wonder if I would actually just do one thing, whether I would have cured cancer or not, but that's not my way. Instead, I do 3 or 4 things all at the same time.
So you have a business background, obviously. You've started this business. So what are you? Are you an entrepreneur or an academic, stand-up comic, or is it kind of a combination of the 3?
I'm a guy who's learned from everything that I've done, and that's what it all comes down to. There's no one job that I could say was a waste of my time. Instead, I've done many things. I was a venture capitalist for a little while. I started an investment bank. I was a lawyer and a patent attorney, and everything that I've ever done has all really informed me as I've moved forward about what does a good business do. I was lucky, Randy. I had people paying me $400 an hour to see what to do in a business and what not to do in a business.
Course.
And eventually I got to a point where I said, I want to start doing this myself. Had a couple of very successful business ventures, and then came across an amazing product developed actually here in Canada, assembled, and I said, this is something I want to put my money behind, and I did.
So that brings us to the company and the product, which is essentially, it looks like Christmas lights to me.
It looks, and that's how it had been marketed in the past, was as permanent Christmas lights. The moment I saw this and I said, that's a mistake. Can it be used as permanent Christmas lights? 100%. But I've also now got hotels who are putting this on the outside. I've got businesses, franchises, and then homes who are just looking to spice up the outside of their house.
So it is basically, kind of looks like Christmas lights, but what differentiates it?
So each one of the LED lights that makes up the Movalume lighting system actually has a small computer chip on it, which communicates to a bigger computer that's housed down either in your garage or in your front entranceway, which means that I can turn every one of those lights individually on and off to any color in the rainbow.
So Movalume is scaling up right now. How are you taking the product to market?
Well, I identified quite quickly that this is a product that must be installed by people who know what they're doing. You don't need to be an electrician, you don't need to be a scientist, but it's a little bit like an IKEA table. The first time you do it, it's going to be painful. The second time, you're going to know better. The third time, you're going to be an expert at it.
Oh, I thought you said the third time you're just going to hire somebody, because
Well,
that's
that
what I
might be-
do.
Because you learned your lesson. And so we're not
Well,
going
some people are more prone to it than others. I will admit that I don't know which end of the hammer is which.
And at least you've got the wisdom to know that. So we actually decided to go for a distributorship model where we will bring people who are interested in starting their own businesses or have a pre-existing business that touches a home or a business to come to us, and we supply them with the product. It really was an opportunity to help people start their own businesses or expand their current business.
This falls into the category of a product that requires some explanation in order to sell it, because, well, I mean, you see the picture and picture says 1,000 words, but how to program, for example, set up the app on your phone and start programming it. So it requires some explanation. So you're getting evangelists out there across North America who are not only installing the product, but they're also selling the product, I take it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I learned quite quickly that I'm not the average consumer, Randy. I like a box with lots of buttons and the ability to do many things, but it was quite clear that people wanted an app. They wanted an application on their phone that they just pushed a button and their lights did what the button looked like.
That's how it works. So it shows you a picture.
Oh, absolutely.
Beautiful.
Beautiful little frame that you push the button, your lights turn to that color, and if you feel like doing a different color, you just choose a different button on your phone, which is not my user experience, but I can tell you, it's the user experience for 99% of our customers.
So you're a brainiac guy. You have a bunch of letters, more letters than you can put on a business card. And you're also an entrepreneur, and you're a stand-up comedian. This is a fantastic opportunity for you to share with us secrets of success, 4 secrets of success for being a successful entrepreneur.
The first one is to use everything that you've ever learned. And it doesn't matter what the business is, Randy. Business is business. There's some common sense principles that apply throughout it all. I did clinical development for drugs. And that is the same kind of business principles that are associated with selling lights, which is also associated with selling yourself as a stand-up comedian. Right. Whether I had to sell myself to go in and perform or whether I had to sell myself to an audience, the one thing that I knew was I believed in my product. I believe in the Mobiloom product. I believed in the products that I was selling in the past. And that's the number 2 idea, is really believe in your product. Number 3 is to know your market. That is absolutely critical if you want to be an entrepreneur and a businessman. Know what you're going to be selling to and what they want and what they're looking for. And the final thing, and this is the lawyer side of me who's seen this, many businesses fail because of it, is be properly capitalized. How many businesses do we see that start where they've spent their last dime just to open the door, but they cannot survive the hiccups that will invariably come through? Properly capitalized.
Well, when you say properly capitalized, of course, I have some experience, both bad and good, in this area. I would say that there's yet to be written a business plan that ever got executed exactly as laid out. It's never happened. And in most cases, in my experience, and this would apply to stand-up comedy as well, it never works out as expected, and you always need more capital than you thought you did. So if you work it all out and you need $1 million to execute your business, do $1.5 million.
Absolutely.
2 million. And if you've got, 5 minutes of great material, develop 10 or 15 and then take the best of that and put it into the 5 minutes.
It doesn't matter what business you're in, that kind of common sense approach means a lot, but you learned it from experience. I learned it from experience, and that's the message I would really send across to others, is to learn from our experience, go in properly capitalized.
It's just a delight to have you on Biz One-on-One. We're going to have you back, and best of success with Mobiloom.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
I appreciate that.
Great to spend time with you. Now, when do we get to see the stand-up routine?
Oh my goodness.